Gun Rights Radio Network has the best pro-Second Amendment, pro-gun rights podcast available on the net. The podcasts are absolutely free when subscribing using iTunes or Zune Marketplace. Or if you want, you can just listen from the website. Make sure you visit gunrightsradio.com to subscribe. Podcasting freedom, one episode at a time.
All right, welcome back to Power Factor. I'm Rick.
I'm Steve.
Today we're going to be talking about draw and grip. And it's two elements of the sport that have seen a lot of evolution from its origins back in the 50s and 60s to today. And we're going to cover just a little bit of the development, different grip styles that we've seen with new shooters coming into the sport, and then kind of emphasizing the current day thinking on draw and grip.
I would also probably like to suggest that draw and grip is probably one of the key, or one of the most key things in terms of shooting. It's really going to kind of set the tone of how you end up shooting a stage, or just shooting in general. Having a proper grip will help minimize the effects of recoil, and then having a smooth and efficient draw just eliminates wasted time, wasted motion. So it really kind of sets the starting point to a good run on a stage.
Okay, the grip on the gun has developed over the years. Early in the sport, there were a number of different grips. I mean, everybody wants to hold a gun with a two-hand grip. Have seen some development of styles. Early on, there's the cup and saucer style, which really isn't, the weak hand really isn't helping the support of the gun any. That kind of moved on to Dirty Harry style. That's moved on to two thumbs down, where you've got essentially a strong kind of a fist grip with the strong hand, and then the weak hand just trying to find a spot on the gun to fit itself in there. That in the 70s was replaced, especially in competition circles, by what's now often called the two thumbs up or Cooper combat hold. You still see this occasionally amongst practitioners, especially who are using the Weaver stance, who have come from background in certain shooting schools. But in competition, far and wide, this popular stance today is the two thumbs forward grip. Number of elements that make it preferable by riding the strong hand thumb high on the frame, or in the case of a gun with an external thumb safety, it opens up a large space on the frame for the weak hand to really get a grip on there. So, Steve, you move your left hand, you see how much of the frame is opened up. If you have that strong thumb under the safety, or worse, or otherwise curled down, you're reducing the amount of frame that the weak hand has to grasp to next to nothing. So by keeping that strong hand thumb up high on the gun, it just opens up the frame. And then by rotating the weak wrist forward and rotating the thumb down, you've got the entire kind of base of your weak hand contributing to your grip. And in fact, you hear some instructors and shooters actually quantify the grip as, oh yeah, I'm doing 40% of my gripping with my strong hand and 60% with my weak hand. And the importance of that is you're trying to maintain flexibility and fine control of your trigger finger. And if you're doing a lot of squeezing with the fingers of your strong hand, your strong hand trigger finger cannot operate independently of that stiff grip of the other fingers of that hand. So by using the weak hand for the majority of your gripping strength, that allows your strong hand trigger finger to operate a little bit more freely and have a little better touch and a little better control on the trigger.
So in terms of grip, so you can see the other side here, I use the fingers interlace grip. The weak hand fingers are interlaced completely with the strong hand. Again, I use a thumb over thumb grip here, thumbs forward, riding the thumb safety. My thumbs are locked in very close to the frame. I've never had a problem with actually riding the slide of ever causing a problem there at all. You can see that my weak hand is cammed down. When I shoot, I like to shoot basically with a neutral grip. So I have probably about 50-50 grip between the strong hand and the weak hand. I don't have any tension. I'm not pushing or pulling with one hand or the other. I also think it's very key that when you're shooting to not have any tension in your forearms or in your shoulders or in your neck, and you don't want to tilt your head down. So with that grip, basically, you want to just simply grip the gun neutral and let it recoil as it wants to recoil. Don't try to fight the recoil of the gun by increasing your grip or increasing tension in your arm. Just let the gun recoil however it wants to recoil. It's actually been shown that letting the gun just recoil as it does rather than you trying to fight it and then steer it back on a target is much faster. So just let the gun recoil. It doesn't matter whether the sights go up and do a figure eight. All we care about is the sight comes back into the rear notch after you fire a shot. So again here we're just looking at a fairly relaxed, neutral grip. No tension in the arms. Thumb over safety. Thumbs riding the slide. Very close. And shoot. Okay, so one of the other things that we've seen before a long time ago is that people would wrap their weak hand index around the front of the trigger guard, kind of like that. That used to be kind of a fad way of shooting years ago. The problem is that it doesn't provide a very strong grip. It actually weakens the grip. It weakens the weak hand or the support hand, but it also can create problems of steering the gun. So you can literally push and pull the gun with the index finger here, which is not a good thing. So it's preferred to keep that that index finger tucked down and wrapped into the strong hand. Actually, there's a technique called a pinch and roll, where as this hand comes up, we'll show it during the draw sequence, but as the hand comes up, it comes into the bottom of the trigger guard, and the gun is pushed forward. It kind of rolls that hand in. The other thing there, in terms of the weak hand, camming the hand down has been shown to really assist in recoil control. By just simply wedging that hand down, recoil is really minimized or controlled a bit by having that hand cam down. And also what happens is that the base of the hand here ends up pushing, in my case I have a fairly large magwell here, but it pushes down on the bottom of the gun. So as you cam into the gun and push down, or putting force here into the gun, it actually pushes down the base of it here a little bit. So during recoil, it's actually being controlled by the fact that you are camming into the base here at the bottom of the grip.
A couple of issues with the two thumbs forward grip, especially if you're a lefty, is if you'll notice the placement of my strong hand thumb, it's essentially exactly where the spent case will eject after the gun is fired. So if you're getting a really high grip on the gun like this, be really careful that you keep this thumb nestled down on top of the weak thumb. If you let your thumb get up at all like this, you're going to have cases bouncing off your thumb and actually can bounce back into the ejection port and cause a malfunction. Also be aware that the tip of the slide stop pin is protruding through the frame right here. And again, depending on how long your thumbs are and exactly what kind of a grip you have, a left-handed shooter can apply pressure to the tip of that pin, pushing the slide stop out and causing a malfunction. So especially in a 1911 style pistol, any gun that's got a slide stop that comes through that is that the barrel's riding on when the gun cycles, keep your thumb off that pin. For the right-handed shooter, the slide stop can be bumped with the strong or the weak hand thumb, either bumped up, which can cause a malfunction, or held down, which can prevent the gun from cycling. I watched a guy shooting a CZ style, it was actually an Italian CZ style knockoff pistol, and his thumb was bumping the slide stop on almost every shot and causing malfunction. So be aware of where your thumbs are and keep them out of the way of the action of the gun so you're not inducing any kind of malfunctions. The revolver grip, there's some issues in that you've got to kind of accommodate the mechanical features of the gun. If you're right-handed, you've got your cylinder release here, and you don't want to foul that or inadvertently push on it while you're shooting. Also, your thumb location is somewhat limited by not wanting to foul the cylinder as it's rotating. So I try to, as much as possible, replicate the same grip I use on an auto pistol, so that it's getting my thumbs as high on the frame as possible. Even though you don't have a beaver tail here to act as a stop, you want to get your strong hand up as high as you can on the frame. I put my strong hand thumb forward, my weak hand thumb forward. So I end up with a grip that sort of approximates this, being conscious of not rubbing the cylinder, which can obviously adversely affect the cycling and just the feel of the trigger. You can also lock your thumb down. This is a really strong grip. You'll see some rich and famous revolver shooters holding the gun this way. Perfectly acceptable. You can also, depending on, again, if you're trying to sort of replicate your auto pistol grip, you can run this thumb down like this. And, what's comfortable, what gives you good kind of a even grip on the frame. You want to make sure not to get any part of your thumbs out in front of the cylinder. You do have blast coming out on both sides of the barrel, and nasty things can happen when you discharge the gun with your thumb out here. So keep the thumb back. You can ride it low, but try to keep it from getting out here in front of the cylinder.
Okay, now we're going to talk about draw. Draw can be broken down into 5 individual steps where there's a 5-point draw. The first step is going to the gun. So from either our hands down or a wrist up position, the first step is to the gun. So the strong hand goes to the gun, the weak hand comes up to the center line of the body. So strong hand goes to the gun, weak hand comes up. It's this motion. When you get to the gun, there are basically 3 ways you can get to the gun. You can come up, you can come down, and what I prefer is to come in from the side. The problem with coming up is that if you come up and out and you sweep the gun out and don't get a really firm grip onto it, you'll throw the gun down range. That's not good. It's a fast draw, but it's not a safe draw. Coming down drives the gun into the holster the wrong direction because you're really wanting to have the gun come up. You don't want to push it down in, then pop it back out. So what I prefer is to come in from the side. So I'm literally just coming up and into the side. That's my motion. It's also very critical that you get a full and complete grip on the gun during your draw. You can't fix a bad grip on your way to the target. So you want to make sure you get a good solid grip on the gun during the draw into step 2. So step 2 is to the gun. Step 3 is you pop the gun out of the holster and rotate it to the target. Now simply all you got to do here is just drop your elbow. You want your forearm to be flat, parallel to the ground. Your elbow just drops down. So it's that. So that's step 3. Step 4 is called a smack and click. Now at that point, the gun is coming up. Your weak hand is coming into the gun, hence the smack part, where the weak hand comes up into the gun, and you click the safety off and drive into the target. So it's just simply that. Now, after you advance, after a while, you can flip the safety off pretty much at the point that's safest. Typically, I'm flipping the safety off right here, and then the gun comes up. So step 4 here is a smack and clip. The hands are together.